slowly over your head. And I promise you'll notice the embodied effect of your physiology switching. And when the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, that's where all the goodness comes. That's where we can start to deprogram the psyche, because we're not defending, we're not fighting, we don't feel like we're fearful or we need to really save our life. Because from that is not where we will evolutionize the world. From the space of everything's okay, I am taken care of. I am loved, first and foremost by myself. I have everything I need in this current moment, and anything that I need in the future will come then. All right? And I am here with a purpose. That's the biggest part of this. Do you know what your purpose is? Why you're here on this planet? It's okay if you don't. We have systems like astrology, we can talk after, which can easily tell you, and then you can start to work with it. Yeah? But that parasympathetic starting point, that's where our evolution needs to start from. Yeah? So we have to get really used to that state, because the cities aren't giving it to us, right? Modern human life isn't giving it to us. We have to dose relaxation to ourselves. And it's not what happens when you have a bunch of drugs and you're just on the couch, or you drink a lot and go and sleep on a recliner in Mykonos. That's not relaxation, because your body at that time is fighting off the drugs and the alcohol, and you're not actually in parasympathetic nervous system state. Does that make sense? It's big, it's big. So this restoration is crucial, crucial. My real aim and goal is to get younger every single day that I wake up. Most people get older, I want to get younger. And younger, and younger. Yeah? And you can do this too. It's not that hard. It's just the thing that the society around us, mainstream society in general, is giving us all the wrong environment for health to exist. And so we have to start to swim upstream a little bit. But it starts through little habits that you make every day. Those of you who heard me talk before, I'm creating an AI to have more accountability for these habits, as well as the talk that you have, the conversation that you have with yourself in your head. Yeah? So those are the 4 foundations of health. We have a swarm of something. Oh, that's a drone! Hi drone, I wish you could see us. I don't think you can see this. So, are there any special interests why you guys came today? Anything? Any direction? We can talk more about fasting, we can talk more about sex, that's a big one that I've been talking about recently. We can talk more about the psyche and the stories we tell ourselves, the conversations we have with ourselves. We can talk about community, we can talk about reinventing our lives.
What about sleeping?
Sleeping, please, yes.
So,
or flow state, flow state.
Flow state, all right, cool. So let me try to flow those together. Thank you, both. Breathe. So, okay, sleeping. This would have been under the restoration tenet or foundation of health. And mind you, the reason I call these the foundations of health is because they are building the house of health. And without them, you can never have health. Most people in the world today are walking around with varying states of disease. You know this because you pop over-the-counter pills, or you have headaches, right? Or you get bloating, or you just don't feel well one day, or you get a cold, right? Or maybe you break out in acne, or whatever it is. Everyone's walking around with varying degrees of dis-ease, uneasy in this human body. And when you look at a human body, that's why I said we're going to take off all our clothes. It's telling you everything. Not only about the insides, but about the emotions. We wear everything on our body. And so this is a movement of radical honesty, where we're getting really honest, right? No more cover-up. No more foundation. Right? Nothing to hide. Let's start from the inside. And so sleep is definitely the ultimate regenerator, let's say, because it's the one where the mind has no dominating power. Yeah, the conscious mind. And so with that, when we're in a state of sleep, healing happens. I think I already mentioned that. But what I want to say to kind of offer you an answer that might be useful is that the human body at the adult state is meant to sleep for anywhere between, let's say, 7 to 9 hours. Yeah? When you look at toddlers and infants, they need way more. When you look at old people, they need way more. When you look at teenagers, they actually need more as well. Everyone gives teenagers a bad rap for sleeping in, but the teenage body actually needs more sleep. It's funny, right? So does anyone get 7 to 9 hours? Around 8 hours? Let's say 8. Who gets 8 hours of sleep a night? Who's like I die. The guy who claimed to be relaxed all the time. I want him to come to my restorative yoga class. We're going to see what it's like when he's actually relaxed. Right? Because that's the thing. We habituate to a state of sympathetic nervous system where it's like, it's always like this. Life is always like this. And so that's our norm. That's what we know. So we think that we're relaxed because this is what it's really almost always like. And then when shit hits the fan and things get crazy, right, then we know we're stressed, we're yelling, right? That's the exaggeration of the nervous system in the human body. But back to sleep, right? So sleep timing is actually your biggest outlet to success, yeah? So when we go to sleep is of crucial importance. I'll take some ancient wisdom traditions, which aren't that ancient. They're only about 5,000 to 6,000 years old, which in my field of natural hygiene, which goes back 3 million years, that's like a pinky nail length. Right? But Ayurveda, yeah, and traditional Chinese medicine. And you know these sciences? So Ayurveda says you must be going to sleep, actively head on pillow, going into dream world, between the hours of 6 p.m., I know, what? And 10 p.m. So we'll say before 10 p.m. This is when the kapha, or the dense earthing state, is active, and that's what will slide you into an easy night of sleep. All right, so by 10 p.m., who sleeps? Me. Yeah, oh, love her. Me too, girl. So yeah, Granny's in the house. So, so that is the make and break. If you really want to be successful as an entrepreneur, and I know you're like, oh, but those candlelit hours when everyone else is sleeping, that's when things happen, and that's when I get the best fintech trading and whatever, yeah? When you're sleeping, sure. But what if you went to sleep at 9, woke up at 5, and had like a 4-hour start ahead of everyone to the day? Because that's when shit really gets done. And that's when your body is much more set for the next day. Day after day after day. Alright? So if you're not convinced and you're like 10 p.m. it's just fucking crazy, we'll look to Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine brings in 1 more hour. Right? So during the hours of 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., the triple warmer meridian on the back of your arms is receiving the flow of qi. We're talking about flow state next. Yeah? And when the qi is flowing through the triple warmer, it sounds like a big duvet, right? It's nice and comforting. It's the best energy in which to herald us into dream state, okay? So that gives us until 11 p.m. So that's saying, by all means, 11 p.m. One of my teachers once said to me, Andy, if you're not sleeping by 11 p.m., you've missed the train. The next train does not come until 1 a.m. Have you noticed if you've tried to like go to sleep around midnight, you just can't fall asleep? And maybe when you do finally fall asleep, it's around 1 a.m.? So let's just catch the train, make sure that we're brushing our teeth by like 10:30. Huge part of this, I mean, I could go into the neurochemistry and way more, but we'll keep it simple. But the blue light, hopefully you know, on your phones, on your screens, activates the pineal gland in a way where it's secreting more serotonin than melatonin. And melatonin, of course, is our chemical that ushers us into sleep. And so switching off screens, taking nice relaxing time for ourselves before bed. How many of you actually intentionally take time for yourselves every day? I'm going to embarrass whomever doesn't. All right, some of you are like, oh, I have to say I do. Right, that wasn't very many of you. I love all of you. All of you deserve time for yourselves. Please, if nothing else that you get from this talk, walk away and commit to yourself, because when this ends, all you're left with is a conversation with yourself. Right? You can still text me from the toilet, but you're left with that conversation with yourself because you are the one dictating your fate of your health and the fate of disease. Right? So in that conversation with yourself, be like, hey, we gotta buy a ticket. We're gonna catch the 11 o'clock train. And make sure that you get in there. You've shut your devices off by 10. Tell everyone you know and love and work with, look guys, don't expect to hear from me late at night anymore. And even ask for consent. Is that okay with you? Set these parameters in your life. They're called boundaries, because that's how we find safety. That's how we find success, when there's clear communication. It's huge. Yeah? And all of us need it. And we need to create this culture together for the evolution. Yeah? And so when you do that, all right, whatever, screen's off, cool. Now I'm brushing my teeth, 10:30, 10:45, heads on pillow, trying to go to sleep. Maybe legs up the wall. You know, that girl told me in 15 minutes I should do it, right? So you're there, you fall into sleep by 11, and you have a beautiful night's sleep. You're up in the morning, you feel rested, rejuvenated. Who uses an alarm clock? Who presses snooze on that alarm clock? Right, so we're gonna talk about that, right? Wanting to sleep in, continuously going back to sleep. These are signs of not being alive. This is a choice that you're making. If you don't want to be alive, we can talk about that too. But I think most of you actually do want to be alive. Do want to jump out of bed, and when your feet hit the floor, do it with intention and gratitude and excitement for all the fucking shit that you're gonna do that day and evolutionize. I haven't said revolutionize once, thank you, Tony. So with this, yeah, sleep is crucial. You're breaking a sleep cycle. You're of course you know about sleep cycles. Your body has natural rhythms that it goes through, and as you rip yourself out from the place of deep subconscious to conscious waking state, right, that's a very important bridge to cross. And if you do it by the sound of how do you think your day is going to be? You're starting your day right there. You're igniting either sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system right there. I know maybe you like wake up to a symphony. But in general, you're still waking yourself up at a time when the body doesn't want to wake up. Better yet is to go to bed earlier, allow your body to wake up. Set your alarm clock for the latest possible time that you need to wake up, and hopefully get into a habit of waking up before that naturally. When you wake up, wake up. Start your day with intention. I mean, I'm gonna get real hippie on you. I'm so not a fucking hippie. But picking a tarot card, right? Opening a book, looking at a word. Texting your mom and seeing what she says back. Allow something to set your intention for the day, whatever it is. Just so you have direction. Otherwise, we have so much passion and desire within us. That is the nature of people in this evolutionary movement. That passion and desire. It's quintessential to this. And we don't have directions where we can put it safely. So that intention is key. Is that enough about sleep? Did you have any?
One question.
Yeah.
What about like time zone hopping and jet lag?
Yeah, brilliant question. So in relation to how to mastermind that with sleep?
Or how terrible is it for me that I'm in like a
So the
different
time zone hopping, the jet lag isn't that terrible. Your body will catch up roughly 1 hour per day. So if you go 10 time zones, it'll take 10 days. Right? What you can do is obviously
melatonin?
the day that you get there. So you can produce your own melatonin and serotonin through just a simple like turn your eyes in and up, close the eyelids, and sit there. Right now I'm producing serotonin. And by virtue of that, more melatonin will come when I need to go to sleep.
How long did that take to practice?
You can do it.
Hold your finger.
I mean, that's just neuromuscular control. That's nothing. It's you've got gazing up here. Right? The more hydrated you are, the easier it'll be. With anything muscular. That's all sports, that's everything. So, by all means. When we talk about travel, though, the real detriment or the make or break factor is the airplane itself. It is the most dehydrating environment that a human body could ever be in. It's literally sucking the life out of you. And so it's one of the best places to fast. Yeah, those of you who might have been practicing intermittent fasting, you know that you can survive for 16 hours really well. So when you get on the airplane, why don't you go ahead and do that and just have lots and lots and lots of water. I recommend 1 liter per hour on the airplane. I know that sounds crazy, but if you knew how much water was being sucked from you by the airplane and the dehydration systems built in itself, yeah? So if you're hydrated on a flight, if you have not eaten on a flight, because the human digestive tract actually shuts off while at high altitude because it is in sympathetic nervous system state. And when you're in stress response, guess what? Your digestive system doesn't work. That means next time before you eat, maybe tonight, just take a really deep breath. Let yourself know everything's okay, and your food's actually going to digest better. That's not energetic or esoteric, right? That's physiological. Okay? So, on the airplane, notice like the hound, fox, wolf mentality that everyone, when the food gets served, everyone's like, like, what's he got? Oh my god, I have to get mine. Do you notice that it happens to all of you? Don't deny it, right? When you get over that and you step outside of it, you can watch how ridiculous it is, right? And then you're like, I don't need anything. I'm okay. No, thank you, stewardess or flight attendant. What's that? I'd like more water, please. Go to the back of the plane, steal some water, whatever it is. I have all my tricks, right? Always get an aisle seat because you'll have to pee a lot. If you're not peeing once per hour on the airplane, then you're dehydrated. Yeah, because you want to be flushing that river to flow. If you do that, you land, you'll feel like so much better. Time change doesn't matter. Then just do whatever you can to stay up all day, right? Exercise a lot or be with friends, have stimulating things, don't fall asleep, whatever you do. Go to sleep 9 o'clock that night. Then you have a 9 to 5 cycle, 9 to 5, 9 p.m., 5 a.m. And that's like the best thing ever for work, for health, for anything. So that's your travel hack. Does that help?
Very helpful.
Woo! All right, so getting into flow state. So is there a particular way that you, I'll just give an intro for those who don't understand. So flow state is when we surrender all of our conditioning. So that's conditioning of how to see the world. It's really worldview. It's everything your parents told you about what's right and wrong, so morals, right? It's everything that you've been told of how to move or how to act in society or what to say or how to speak or what words to use. They all vanish. They leave when you are in what we call flow state. So it's been studied most in super competitive athletes. When they say like nothing else was there, I was just in the game and I'm hooping and then, you know, and that's all you see, right? Nothing else exists. I know that was horrible. I know nothing about basketball. So with that, this is flow state as it's known in science for now. How I use flow state is actually in more of a shamanic sense, where I do scare quotes and elbow and nudges at all of the new age sphere, where we are stepping outside of our normal conditioning brain and our, like if I had pieces of paper right here, right now, and I told you guys to put pen to paper and write, you would be like, my name is Gary. I'm at a crypto conference, right? We don't even write anymore. But after that, if you were forced to continue writing and continue, your mind wouldn't have anything else to say. Something else would come through you where it's not coming from your mind. It's coming from flow state. And so that's how, like right now in this lecture, I've planned nothing. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth next, right? I don't know what racy joke I'm going to make or inappropriate curse word I'm going to use. It comes. That is flow state. And when humans are in flow state, and we see this anywhere from shamans to athletes to yogis, right? All of a sudden, to public speakers, all of a sudden, like the world stops and all of your presence is here. And so truly what flow state is calling in 100% of yourself. Do you ever notice that sometimes we're all scattered all across the earth? Right? We're thinking of that girl that we just slept with on that continent, or that interesting project over there, or our best friend from college who's here, and our mom always wants our attention, and our job, of course. Like we're scattered, we're there, we're on our phone, we're not present. Right? It's like, okay, yeah, but I gotta get to this. Like I walked in here today, and the two people were like, the internet better work, I gotta call. It's like the amount of self-importance that is. Like, I mean, it's endearing. We all face it. We are all humans today. And also, it's taking you away from being present right here, right now. And what flow state is presence. It's being right here, right now. It's reacting to the environment and what's around you. Perhaps one of the best ways to practice this, and I tend to call it the highest meditation. I make all of my yoga teacher trainees do it. It's something called family constellations. Do we have experience with family constellations in the room? So I've been facilitating it for, did you do one of mine? Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, for a few years, and crazy shit happens. We tap into what's called the morphogenetic field. Now you know this field, it's a biological term. A flock of birds, they all fly together, right? Like synchronized swimmers. A school of fish, they stay together. We humans, as a species, we have one too. We're just super disconnected from it. And when you look at the experiments in epigenetics from Bruce Lipton, they're little like TikTokers. I don't know, metronomes maybe or something like that are TikToking back and forth. And so you have a group of like 50 of them or even 20 of them, all right? And they're all flowing, they all flow in different directions. You give them like a minute to 2 minutes, they're all syncing up. And these things are set to some kind of gravitational flow. It's not like they're meant to sync up. They're not programmed. There's no mechanics behind it, right? And then when they're all syncing up, you take one and you put it off. And it's only a matter of time before the others have synced to the one. This is the tipping point that we talked about in the panel before. Yeah? And so when it comes, I forgot how I got on that tangent. when it comes to, I was talking about family constellations in the morphogenetic state, thank you. So when it comes to tapping in to the morphogenetic field, this is the ultimate flow state, to like go into that state where you're experiencing things that's like not yours and you're knowing things that aren't yours. On the consciousness panel, they were talking about like metaphysical experiences and psychic experiences. I've been in a family constellation where I wasn't leading it, I was a participant or a representative, and I was playing someone's mother or brother or something, and I just saw red on the wall, and I knew that it was a gunshot and that someone here had been shot. I didn't know the guy whose situation it was or anything about that. And I said that because it came out of me in flow state, in 100% presence. That's how I was aware. And then afterwards, of course, the guy comes up and he's like, how the fuck did you know that? Right? It's those things that we couldn't have known. Whether that's from an Akashic Records reader telling me my fate or things that he couldn't have known about my past. Or whether it's these otherworldly moments that we have. It requires 100% presence. That we're connected to nowhere. That we've cut all of those binds that always hold us, especially in the cyber world today of technology and messaging. And we're here and we're present. That is the first requirement for flow state. The second requirement is to step in and let go. Yeah? Does that help? He's like, what the fuck do you mean? Step in and let go? He's like, kind of a dramatic portrayal, but what are you actually saying? We can talk about that, but it's like if I were to hold you on the tip of the pool and you were resisting and I was going to push you in and you're fucking resisting because you're like, I don't want to go swimming right now, I have this nice clothing on, oh my god. As soon as you let go and I push you and you go and you're like, that's flow state. But we almost never get there. Because with most things in our life, we're resisting and we're holding ourselves back and we're trying to control and we want this to be like that, and when she doesn't do that way, we're angry. Yeah? And so noticing when we're controlling, and this is all the inside job. This is all the inner work. It's the conversation that we're having with ourselves. It's the story we're telling ourselves. And then we get a lot into like groupthink, where there's a whole organization of people who are like, this is shit, and then we're like, this is shit, right? And so it's what community, what environment are you creating? There's, especially if someone's complaining. This is something I've been working with Gary. Can I tell? Very
Sure.
good. Privacy's the enemy. Whenever he wants to complain, .com, check it out, Gary Lachance. Whenever he wants to complain, I ask him, like, what is really there? What's really going on? Like, someone give me a complaint. It's so hot. It's so hot. Okay, so first of all, thank you for that. First of all, everybody knows it's so hot. Why are you saying it? Right? Second of all, cool. You just wasted some breath, which actually heated you up even more when you could have just gone and went diving in the pool. Or done some cool yogi tricks like this. Or this. Shikali and Shikali, yeah? Just like easy breath techniques that cool you down. You could go put your legs up the wall, right? You could take a cold pack, but like do something rather than complaining, right? Or maybe it's so hot so you can remember that you're alive and that you have this body, right? You're sweating, you're glistening, your body is healing itself. It's trying to cool you down. That's a miracle. You see, it's like there's so many other ways that we could look at life and the world. There's so many other ways that we could hack this human existence. And we're just fucking lazy. Right? We're just in this society that's kind of constantly